I'd like to call this meeting to order. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Mrs. Chu.
Here.
Mr. Sismar.
Here.
Mrs. Guas.
Here.
Mr. Hong.
Here.
Mrs. Lax.
Here.
Mrs. Reese. Mr. Simmons.
Here.
Mr. Winston.
Here.
And President Becker.
Here, we have a quorum. Please rise to salute the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend meetings of public bodies. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the East Brunswick Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published at the Board of Education offices. Written notice is also provided to the Sentinel, the Newark Star-Ledger, the Home News and Tribune, and the Municipal Clerk of East Brunswick. All Board of Education meetings, with the exception of executive session discussions, are videotaped for later broadcast. Videotape meetings are not edited for any purpose, so individuals who speak at the board's public meetings should be aware of these videotaping rules. Good evening. Nice to see, oh, very good. Nice to see a full house, and always, always wonderful to see so many students in the audience. So we're going to start out tonight with our superintendent's report.
Thank you, President Becker. Good evening, everyone. The artwork in the boardroom this evening reflects the efforts of the talented students of you-know-who, Hammersholt Middle School. Their teachers are Anna Deacon, Antonio Germanos, and Lisa Gambas. Dr. Michael Gaskell is their principal. Over 200 people attended the first high school health and wellness fair on January 28th. There were 28 school clubs and outside agencies present to share the different ways our staff, students, and community members can focus on their physical and emotional health. The EBEA sponsored the event with a Pride grant. The student clubs that participated all had activities and information to share that promoted a variety of healthy ways people can de-stress and unwind. On Wednesday, January 29th, elementary band and orchestra students traveled and participated in the high school band and orchestra day. The elementary students also had the chance to perform their music with high school students while playing under the direction of their potential teachers for Hammersholt, Churchill, and the high school. The event involved almost 500 fifth grade students who were encouraged to continue their study of their chosen instrument. I had the pleasure of attending the East Brunswick High School National Honor Society induction for 149 students last night. The National Honor Society, led by our own Rachel Lobo as president, serves to recognize those students who have demonstrated excellence in areas of scholarship, service, leadership, and character. These students epitomize our mission of excellence in academics, athletics, and the arts. Today, our AP IPPL team of 30 seniors, led by their teacher, Alan Broadman, won the We the People state competition at Rutgers University. Our victory means the East Brunswick High School will represent New Jersey at the national competition for the 32nd time in the last 33 years. What a record. This incredible achievement is unprecedented nationally. Congratulations to Brianna Slewinski, scoring her 1,000th career point in basketball. Brianna is the 9th girl in East Brunswick history to achieve such an accomplishment.
Yay.
Congratulations to our January High School Athletes of the Month. Students were selected for this honor by the coaching staff based on performance, demonstration of leadership, effort, and practice, and for modeling exceptional character. Second quarter report cards were issued today and can be viewed online through Parent Access. Copies will be made at the request of anyone without internet access. Just a reminder, schools will be closed on Monday, February 17th in honor of President's Day. I'd like to take a moment to update the community on our district recycling initiatives. Principals have reminded students about our established proper single-stream recycling practices. Blue recycling bins are positioned predominantly in the cafeterias, and principals are demonstrating which items get placed in the blue recycling bins. Custodians have been trained by our facilities director and Aramark manager to place unbagged, loose recyclable materials in the designated recycling dumpsters located at each school throughout the district. Our facilities director and Aramark manager are routinely checking the recycling dumpsters to ensure we are following the township's ordinance and no bags are introduced into the recycling flow of materials. We are currently working with our food service provider Aramark for opportunities to incorporate district branding and directional signage in support of our students' ongoing recycling efforts. Understandably, many people in the East Brunswick community are concerned about the coronavirus outbreak and the impact to our schools. The spread of this virus is an evolving and fluid situation. We are currently exceeding recommended school cleaning procedures issued by the New Jersey Department of Health and the Center for Disease Control. Our school nurses remain proactive in monitoring the health of students and staff during the school day. Please visit our webpage and website for more detailed information that may be helpful to families. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Valesky.
And now I have a resolution, if you'd allow me, on behalf of School Board Recognition Month.
Sure.
I'm going to slide up there if you don't mind.
Go for it.
Dr. Bowley, would you be able to help me when I get done with this? If you could just hold on to those and pass those down. The one time I don't need to stand on something to make me taller. Resolution of Appreciation, School Board Recognition Month. Whereas the New Jersey School Boards Association declares 1 month each year to be School Board Recognition Month, a time that all residents might acknowledge the contributions made by our local school board members. And whereas the East Brunswick Board of Education is one of more than 581 local school boards in New Jersey that sets policies and oversees operations for public school districts. And whereas the East Brunswick Board of Education embraces for all students the goals reflected in the district motto of excellence in academics, athletics, and the arts. And whereas the East Brunswick Board of Education helps to determine community goals for the education of approximately 8,400 children in preschool through 12th grade. And whereas the East Brunswick Board of Education members receive no compensation for their services, yet are committed and active advocates for public students, as board members collectively work with administrators, teachers, and parents for the good of East Brunswick Public School District and public education in general. And whereas the East Brunswick Board of Education provides accountability to the public, communicates the needs of the school district to the public, and conveys to school administrators the public's expectations for the schools. And whereas the East Brunswick Board of Education can take pride in its schools, which rank among the best in New Jersey, and nationally in indicators such as high school graduation rates, class size, college entrance, exam participation, and advanced placement offerings, and test scores. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we observe February 2020 as School Board Recognition Month and express our gratitude and appreciation to Vicki Becker, Lori Lax, Susanna Chu, Mark Sismar, Heather Guas, Lee Woo Hong, Barbara Reese, Todd Simmons, and Jeffrey Winston collectively, the East Brunswick Board of Education, for their unwavering service to the students, staff, and greater East Brunswick community. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
So while Dr. Bowley is handing those out, you notice where you're seated, you have a mug in front of you. So for your service, I've given each of you a coffee mug or a tea mug if that's your choice. So I make it clear, no district funds were spent in the creation of these mugs. They're a gift from me. They were also given to the entire administrative team earlier this school year. Along with the East Brunswick logo, it says "Make the coffee." And these words became my own personal statement many years ago, and it really came from a graduate course in leadership I taught quite some time ago. Make the coffee in the simplest terms means roll up your sleeves and jump into any capacity where you can benefit the organization. And that describes all of you. You don't need to be school board members. You want to be school board members. Long campaigns to get here, long hours once you're here, no pay, and little recognition except for events like tonight. Each of you has rolled up your sleeves in the pursuit of continued excellence in East Brunswick Public Schools. We would not be a Blue Ribbon School District without each of you. On behalf of the entire administrative team, along with every student and staff member who benefits from your work, thank you for making the coffee.
Thank you, Dr. Valesky. So these were leftovers from the things that you had given out?
No, they were not. They each had your name engraved on them, but over time it wore off.
Somebody else used it.
No.
It's lovely. Thank you so much.
I didn't splurge on the color. It's all black and white, so.
Anybody want any discussion? We are very grateful for this recognition. We don't do it for the recognition. According to what you said, there's really not any reason why we do it. We do it because we all care and we want to be here. And on behalf of us, thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for being here. We wouldn't be who we are without you.
Okay. And I can't think of any better way to segue into why we're here than to say, I know I'm getting kind of corny, than to say that next up is a Learning Across the District presentation from our students, because you guys are the reason we're here. So Dr. Valesky, would you like to introduce who's coming tonight?
Sure. We have the Hammarskjold 6th grade Verbal Gate class talking about a brochure they created.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for coming. My name is Cassandra Whalen, and I am a 6th grade Verbal Gate and ILA teacher at Hammarskjold. So I want to thank Dr. Valesky and all the Board of Education members for having us here, and of course the parents, and most of all, my students for bravely coming here to show you the work that they've done. So the project my students will be presenting is a culmination of our character study unit, which is our first reading unit of the year. The purpose of the unit was to help foster the reading community at Hammarskjold, because the products were actually displayed in our Hammarskjold Media Center. So the project was designed in a way that allows my students some creative choice. And for their brochure projects, the students could choose from a multitude of diverse tasks, from writing letters to their characters and authors, summarizing the text, interviewing characters, analyzing their favorite quotes, drawing pictures of their favorite scenes. Because their tasks were high, their audience would be their peers. So they rose to the occasion, and they connected with the book, and ultimately helped their peers to connect with the book as well. So the books allowed some creative freedom for them to not only express how much they enjoyed their novels, but ultimately how well they analyzed their characters, which was the goal of our reading unit. But you're not all here to listen to me talk about them, so I'm going to turn it over to the stars of the show here. So they're going to present a bit of their project to you all tonight.
Hi, my name's Nikita. I chose to do my report with my partner from the character study unit. We read the book Matched by Ali Condi, and we enjoyed it.
Hi, I'm April. The book we chose for this project was Matched, which is about a girl named Cassia who meets a boy named Kai, and together they set out to rebel against their planned future.
My favorite activity was writing the letter to the author. As I was reading, I had many wonders that I wanted to express to the author. My favorite part of my letter is when I wrote, "Finally, my last question to you is if you were to rewrite the story, would you consider changing the plot? Like maybe if Xander and Cassia end up together, would you change Cassia's ending a lot? I enjoyed reading the marvelous book about the adventure of Cassia. I enjoyed being able to choose this activity for this project.
My favorite part was picking a quote to analyze because they challenged my previous thoughts and interpretations. One such quote was, "There is nothing to see at the top of this hill." This relates to my life because sometimes there is another more rewarding path for you to go on that will lead you to greater things. Ultimately, Matched teaches many important lessons, and we both highly recommend it.
Hi, my name is Ivana. My book was Dirt Road Home. It is about a boy named Hal who has to survive juvenile detention. My favorite activity was an important scene because there were many significant events where the characters' opinions greatly differed. This intrigued me since these scenes were very relevant because they greatly contributed to the theme of the book, which was about thinking before you act. I highly recommend this book.
Hi, my name is Dasha, and the book I chose is So Be It. This book is about a girl named Heidi and her disabled mother. I wanted to share my summary because I felt it was important for my audience to get the important details. I think this summary would help people get more interested in the book. Heidi doesn't really know anything about her mother because she doesn't really talk, and Heidi is determined to find out facts. When Heidi finds old photos in her mother's dresser, she gets suspicious and she realizes that's her mother. Now she knows that she has to find out everything and go to Hilltop House where everything started. This book teaches you many life lessons, and I highly recommend it.
Hi, my name is Elise. The book I chose is Upside Down in the Middle of Nowhere by Julie T. Lamanna. The book is about a family that went through a lot of hardships after Hurricane Katrina. My favorite activity was character analysis. It was my favorite because the book had a lot of characters with diverse personalities. My favorite character, Armani, matured a lot as a result of the tragedy she endured. I thought her journey of maturity was really interesting to read about. In my brochure, it states Armani is the main character and lives with her parents, grandma, and 4 siblings. Throughout the story, she matures a lot and realizes family comes first. Her favorite person to be with is her beloved mama. She shows true bravery and confidence throughout the book. I would highly recommend this book.
Hello, my name is Ryan. The book I chose to do was Wolf Hollow. It is about a girl that is faced with a bully and she overcomes this adversity. My favorite activity was character analysis because a key part of the story is how characters develop and how their lives go. For example, the character Betty is a tall, strong, and intimidating character with lots of social problems. Even though Betty is the antagonist of the story, she's still a crucial part of the story because she makes the other characters confront their fears. But as the story goes on, you feel compassion and sympathy for Betty as you find out her backstory. The author's purpose for this character was to symbolize that people are cruel because of their own problems and insecurities.
So as you can see, the students were really able to put themselves in the character's shoes and consider some of the perspectives that they might not have thought about otherwise. So they were able to share their own connections with the Hammarskjöld family. I'm so proud of them, and I hope that you all share my pride.
That was excellent. That
Yeah,
was just excellent. As an avid reader, now I want to read your books. You made me feel like that I want to go home and read the book, which is the biggest compliment that a fellow reader can give you. So thank you so much.
Excellent job. I also want to know, I know some of you from elementary school. I want to know why you got so big in middle school. You did a nice job. You guys are really awesome. Pictures?
Yes, parents, please.
Do you want to?
Okay. Next, we have our budget overview.
So,
Mr. Julian?
yes, Ms. Atkins? Did you want to have a recess for the children leave?
I thought of the Little Cub Scouts. No? If they're, actually, we'll hold off for a minute. I'm aware of the fact that you guys probably have homework. And if parents would like to take these terrific kids home after their presentation, please do so. So we'll take a 2-minute recess. Thank you. I actually am going to go a little out of order, and I am going to introduce, for the good of the cause of the public, before we go into our budget presentations, I notice we have a number of young speakers, and I want to be respectful of their bedtimes. So, the Board of Education recognizes the value of public comment on educational issues and the importance of providing an opportunity to the public to express themselves on school-related matters. To allow for a fair and orderly comment period, individual comments are limited to 5 minutes. Members of the public are reminded this is a public televised meeting of the Board of Education. To protect the privacy of all students and staff, concerns regarding individual students and staff should generally be addressed by first meeting with the appropriate administrative staff. Before I open the good of the cause, I just want to reiterate the board's feeling about the good of the cause is this is the time for the public to come and address us, and we respect that. This is not a time for you to get up there and have to worry about what are they going to say back to us. We will be respectful. I don't want you to mistake our being respectful for being uncaring or not listening. We care very much, and we always listen. This is your time, and we're respectful of that. So, with that being said, is there anyone wishing to speak to the board tonight? And students do not have to give their address. We respect the students' privacy. Adults, please state your name and address for the record.
Hello, my name is Catherine Nguyen. I live on Old Tenant Court. I have one child in Warnstoffer and one child in Hammersholt. I want to thank those who have addressed what I've been concerned about for well over a year. Thank you. I'm here to impress upon you that the urgency of this is high. This is not something that can just keep being brushed aside. It has to be addressed quickly. Last week, I walked by Hammersholt and was disturbed to find well over 2,000 plastic bottles in the storm drain near the school. I photographed this and I sent it to appropriate people, and I'm sure administrators who needed it saw it. We could blame the students for that, but that is not fair. They are simply repeating the habits they are learning at school. As of last year, it became apparent to me and known to many that the school system itself does not recycle any plastic. When janitors commingle plastic and garbage, and the recycling cans and garbage cans look alike because they're both filled with commingled refuse, it sends a very clear message to the children, a very poor message, and a very dangerous message. Those following the crisis know that at this time, recycling is no longer the correct answer. There is way too much plastic that has already been manufactured, and continuing on bad habits where plastic is seen as a disposable or one-time use item is hastening the demise of our globe at an unprecedented rate. Until a true solution is found, it is negligent to allow single-use plastic drink bottles on school grounds and for them to be sold on school grounds. Last year, when the President of France, Emmanuel Macron, came to the USA to address this, he said, "It is estimated that by 2050, there will be more plastic in the sea than fish." This is a deadly scenario. France has taken the lead in addressing this issue and is banning plastic cups, plates, and cutlery as a nation. It is wise to learn from other nations and heed their warning on this global plastic pollution crisis. To further explain the dire consequences of rampant plastic usage, I present the next generation who is receiving this mess that this generation is carelessly leaving for them. This is Cub Scout Troop 223, the Tigers, and they will present the plastic death spiral.
The kid gets 5 minutes. Do we have a thing for him to stand on?
So come where you can see. Come over here. Okay. So the first piece of artwork these boys did, this is salvage art, was this one. And Phoenix or Dylan, what is this a picture of?
Something that how the ocean started.
This is how the ocean started, and this is how they should be. And this includes the natural life cycle. What is this picture of? Dylan or Phoenix?
Garbage
Garbage. And where is the garbage?
in the ocean.
In the ocean. And what are these orange things at the bottom?
Dead fish.
Dead fish. Why are the fish dead?
Because they ate all the plastic.
Because they ate the plastic. Why would a fish eat plastic?
Because they accidentally ate it.
Because they accidentally ate it. Where did you find all this plastic, Phoenix?
6 in the courtyard, and the rest a walk from the walk home.
So you found it in the courtyard of where?
Warrenstoffer Elementary School.
Warrenstoffer Elementary School. And we found a lot more, but it wouldn't fit on the painting. And then we found some walking home from school. And this is the plastic death spiral, because once the fish die, the food chain just falls apart. And it's at a crisis point. And for schools to perpetuate bad behavior, I find unacceptable. Do you boys want to add anything else? No? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. Is there anyone else wishes to address the board? Yes, please. And if you could just state your name and address for the record, thank you.
Good evening. My name is Hong Huang. I live in Frost Avenue in East Brunswick. I'm here today to represent the Horsehair Chinese School at East Brunswick. So here with me are the students, parents, teachers, and volunteers from our school. Usually, like during the Chinese New Year, we have a celebration party to celebrate the beginning of the Lunar New Year. However, due to the recent concern of the coronavirus, we canceled our celebration party because in our school, the students' health and well-being is our highest priority, just like everyone here, right? So, however, canceling the celebration party does not mean like we will stop passing on the cheer and the spirit of the new year, right? So here we are today, right? So we like to take this opportunity to express our appreciation for the support that we have received from the East Brunswick Board of Education. So starting 16 years ago, right, that is when the Horsehair East Brunswick was founded. So back then, we only have a few Chinese language class. So with the support of the Board of Ed and countless volunteers, now today, like in our school, we offer more than 15 different types and level of Chinese language class. So no matter what the student's background or level, they will be able to find the class in our school, right, to learn a foreign language, right, because that is the beautiful part of East Brunswick, right. We cheer this as a vibrant, diversified community, right. So all this will make possible, right, by the volunteer and also the board of ed, and also like we have so much help from like the parents to make this a success, right? So today, like we're here like, with the students, so we just like to use this opportunity, right, to present a small token of appreciation. So come on. So this is the year of red, right? So so this like we prepare a lot of gifts to give out to the students and the teachers. So yeah,
They're the best looking rats I've ever seen.
Thank you. Yep. Thank you.
Thank you. This is wonderful. I don't know the proper
Thank you.
reading. Lee will- Be a greeting for the children.
谢谢大家。So boys and girls, thank you very much. 谢谢你们。我们作为教委，我们希望我们尽我们最大的努力来帮助你们，给你们提供必须要的帮助。Thank you very much for the gift. And the year of red is the starting of a new cycle of 12 years. So this is starting a totally new cycle. We should have good fortune with this.
Wish everyone like a happy and healthy year of red. Thank you.
And you as well. Thank you.
Is there anyone else?
Say,
who
Mrs. Becker, you
wishes-
said that we don't get anything for coming to meetings. We did today.
Coffee mug.
There you
I
go.
like the rat better than the coffee mug. I'm sorry. I love my coffee mug, but this rat is.
If I've got to be outdone, it should be by kids.
It should be by a rat.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I believe that you have been waiting very patiently, sir. Thank you very much.
Hi, thank you. My name is Dan Nguyen, 5 Old Tenant. Most of you, if not all of you, are pretty familiar with my wife, who has spoken a lot about the plastic pollution crisis. I first of all want to thank all of you, and when I say this, thank all of you for the work that you've done for the school. I say that sincerely. Having been a graduate from the school system in 1993, and being a sophomore at East Brunswick when it won the Blue Ribbon Award, it has produced many good students, is an excellent school system. Myself, actually, having been a beneficiary, having graduated and going on to Harvard and graduating with an economics degree in 1997. So I sincerely say thank you for all of your work and being stewards of the school system and actually looking at and seeing the students that are being produced today. One of the things that I urge, and I think that's something to think about moving forward, is something along the lines of what my wife has said, that as we move forward in the 21st century, being just a great student and being a great addition to society isn't just being a great academic. That, being, as you had mentioned, the motto of the school is academics, excellence. Excellence is, there's a lot of things to be done. And, one of the things, the concerns, as we all know, and many of us are beginning to show our age, and me included, obviously.
He looked at me when he said that.
I thought it was me.
I can remember a time when, by now, we would have gotten a lot of snow. And having lived in East Brunswick since 1976, things have changed. The environment's changed. And I think as the students that graduate from the school move on and become great leaders out there, and the school has produced many good leaders out there, being a good steward of the environment is probably something that we could probably maybe do a little better, having seen the pictures from that my wife has shown. So I come here to express my appreciation. I come here to express my continued gratitude as my children will go through the school system as I once had. You know, I'd like to believe that they will one day be stewards of the environment too. So, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Anyone else wishing to address the board? Good evening.
Good evening. How are you? I'm relatively new to this district.
Excuse me.
Been here a
I'm
couple-
sorry,
Excuse
ma'am,
me,
we
your
just
name
need
and address, please?
for the
Oh,
record.
okay.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. My name is Shirley Clay. I live at 133 Buttonwood Drive in East Brunswick.
Thank you.
I'm relatively new to this district for just about 2 years, and I'm just getting back in the education scene with my grandchildren, and they are in this district. And I'm not sure, maybe we could get together, I could get with someone later, because with the information that I need, I don't think you have it here tonight. Me personally, coming into this district, and not just this district, but other districts in the state of New Jersey, I feel that the parents are being excluded from the education system here, I mean, in general. I mean, I've called the Department of Education in Maryland, and I know they have this directive that states that you're getting students college and career ready. And I mean, that's as the program or as individualized, even down to the individual schools. That is my understanding. Each district can do it the way they want to do. Everyone can do it the way they want to do. But I find that I'm not able to help them because I don't know what they're doing. And I'm lost. I'm at a loss. And the only way I can help improve what they're doing is to send them to Kumon or other centers that are helping students in addition to what they're learning in school. Now, I have a third grader, and I don't know what they're doing. There are no books, and they have dittos, but I was told to go online to help them. I don't want to go online to help them. I want to reinforce what you're doing here. But if I don't know what you're doing, I can't reinforce anything. And I just feel like what the children are doing, some kids are going to get it no matter what. Some kids can do it with a little prompting and with a little help. Some kids are not going to do it. Now, my granddaughter was at a gifted and talented school in another district, but now she's having difficulties here, and I've always been able to help. But now I don't know how to help. And I can't think of any way children would be benefited by parents not knowing what's going on with what they're doing. Just recently, my granddaughter, third grader, she had a test, evaluation, or well, it actually was a test, not a midterm per se, but I wasn't told what was on it. There was no date. I asked, well, how can I help them? Can you give me something like a syllabus in advance so I can know what they're doing, so I can read ahead and help them? I can't help them. I mean, I have a bachelor's degree in economics, a master's certification in banking. I've trained in the United States Army as an air traffic controller. I can do anything. I can't help my babies. And they have like the practice test, park, and all these tests online. I failed miserably. If I have a master's certification, a bachelor's degree, a military trained controller, why can't I do this? So, and my heart breaks for my children when I say, oh, how could she see this? How is she, if I'm looking at this, looking cross-eyed, I mean, how is my baby looking at this? I need to know how to help them. I'm asking you to help me help my child. I don't know what's going on. I got something for a test, no date. There was nothing I was given. We do not, give you any background, any information, so we can go over. I want to go back. If it's a cumulative, I want to be able to go back and look over it to prepare you. I can't prepare you because I don't know what you're doing. And for me, in my opinion, we as parents are being excluded, and it's like some type Darwinian education system where if you get it, you do. if you have your parents have the resources to get these centers like Kumon and these other centers, they're flourishing, they're getting rich because kids need additional assistance with the system that you're getting. You know, the reading system, I was told that my granddaughter was below grade level reading. I knew that was impossible. She reads Einstein with me. She reads everything with me. I go over stuff at home because I know what I'm teaching her. But when I spoke with them as well, it's not just reading, it's accuracy, it's fluency, and it's comprehension. I think there should be a separation reading. That should be different because when she reads, her accuracy is off the charts. But when they say the fluency and the comprehension. Now I said, well, what does fluency have to do with it? Well, they said that fluency will help if they're fluent, they're learning more. I asked for the data on that.
Excuse me,
Anything
ma'am.
someone tells
Ma'am,
me, I'm
excuse
sorry.
me. Your time's up.
Okay, can I come speak with someone
Yes.
outside of this forum here?
Actually, ma'am, there's a young lady back there. If you give her your information, she'll give you her card. That's Trudy Atkins. And then we'll put you in touch with the resources that you need. Is that okay?
Okay, I'll speak with her, but I mean, like I said, I need to get that raw data that they say they have to prove that what these kids are doing is better for them. I want to see that.
Well, if you touch base with Ms. Atkins, then we'll make sure that you get.
Wonderful, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to address the board tonight? Good evening.
Good evening. Dana Zimbicki, President of the East Brunswick Education Association. And thank you to all of our board members on Board Appreciation Month. We'd like to extend our gratitude for all that you do. Last May, I spoke to you regarding 11 clerical positions that were slated to be eliminated due to budget constraints. And we were very grateful that you were able to restore 4 of those positions, of those 11 positions. Tonight, I'm here to ask you to consider restoring 2 additional clerical positions for reasons that I believe are logical and researched reasons. As the leader of the 1,450 members of the Education Association, I'm well aware that we all are doing more and working harder each and every day, from the superintendent down to all the members of my unit. However, there are 2 departments of secretaries that I feel are really struggling because of the clerical cuts that were made starting in July. The first department is the Special Education Department. In this department, we're seeing increased enrollment as more students are being classified. The increase is staggering, yet we have less secretaries in the department due to staffing cuts that actually have occurred in that department since 2017. New student referrals this year are already over 300 compared to referrals for the school year last year that were a little over 400. We're almost at last year's referral rate with 5 months of the school year to go. It goes without saying that this group of ladies are feeling the burn of having the clerical staff eliminated, and they are literally overwhelmed in paperwork, and paperwork that is time sensitive in order to be compliant. There are days when the courier and the mail do not get open because other items have to take priority due to compliance timelines. There are many files that the secretaries are literally buried at their desk. Literally, if you go in their office, the files are up here. They do not have time to organize and purge as the pace of the work coming in and the sheer volume is simply unmanageable. Of course, with the increase of students comes increased paperwork, emails. This is very problematic. Each secretary in the special ed department is managing approximately 460 student cases. And as one secretary said, more often than not, it's so busy that we actually forget it's even lunch. The bottom line, this department of clerical staff feel overwhelmed and frustrated. While they feel supported by department management, no amount of support can fix their sheer exhaustion due to the increasing demands placed on them. As one member of the department explained, I used to take pride in my work and I enjoyed coming to work each day. Now I just take a deep breath when I walk into the building, knowing that I'm going to be bulldozing through the day just to keep from being buried in the sand. She also went on to say that she used to have a deep feeling of satisfaction with her job, and now she leaves frustrated, knowing that her task list is going unchecked. And she leaves work with her head down and with a deep feeling of disappointment. It's really a horrible way to live. The second clerical department struggling is the Hammersholt Middle School secretaries. Hammersholt is the only school in the district to not have a main office secretary since the clerical cuts. The guidance counselor has a secretary, both vice principals have a secretary each, and the principal does. Their caseloads are extreme since the cut. The clerical staff at Hammersholt are very efficient and collaborative. They strive to provide, as Dr. Valesky likes to encourage, fantastic customer service. They work to make sure that everything is covered, and over time, they've created a task list that has 132 tasks on this that they take care of, ranging from parent access issues, progress reports, JM PAC duties, etc. The task list grows, and now it is being divided by less secretaries. Hammersholt, as we know, is a transition school. It's the first opportunity that our students have in secondary school experience, and that purely also increases the amount of parent and student contact for our secretaries. It sometimes becomes impossible for them to deal with the work that they're assigned by their managing administrators and still provide that fantastic customer service that's so important to them and to the district. I was shocked one day when speaking with the secretary to hear her say, "This year, this position has literally broke me. I cry at my desk." Each secretary, with their task list, they are doing more and more with this task list, but also some of the items are items that they've never been trained on. It's become a hands-on learning in the trenches. One secretary says she's performing detailed tasks, such as a dynamic bus list, and she was never shown how to do it. She feels inadequate, and she feels as though she disappoints her boss. There are events like Fairview and state testing that will still cause more stressors. I was just finishing my sentence. I didn't want to leave in a mid-sentence. Okay?
Hi,
Thank
I'm
you.
Lisa. I work at Ornsdorfer. The Hammersholt clerical staff are exhausted. They feel inadequate at times. I might be repeating myself, bear with me. They leave work with low self-esteem and poor morale, albeit they feel supported and appreciated by the school administration. It does not solve the fact that they are not able to accomplish tasks with the same pride and dedication they once could. At a January 16th, 2020 Board of Ed meeting, the resolution pointed at an increase of 718 students in the district. This compounds the problem. Dana is available to provide more detail and to have any conversation you may be willing to have. We are advocating on behalf of the secretaries in these two departments, and we hope that you will investigate and look more closely at the needs of those two departments. Additionally, we would like to provide you with more detailed information, as we hope you'll be considering this point of information when making decisions for the next school year. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to address the board this evening? Seeing none, I will close the public portion and we will take another 2-minute recess. Thank you all for coming. Thank you. And now, for the long-awaited budget overview.
Yes, this is the first of a series of presentations that will occur over the next several meetings. So just to give you a quick overview on budget development, I'll be speaking about that further in other meetings, but I just wanted to give an overview regarding a few of the basics regarding budget development. There are 3 different aspects to the development process. First one is at the school budget level, where we utilize what our projected enrollment is. We look at our costs based on historical data, and what the purpose of the school budgets is to support the day-to-day functioning of the schools. That is strictly at the school level budget. With other budget areas and with each of the budget managers that will be presenting tonight and at other points in time in the coming weeks, we use 2 other methodologies. One is a modified zero-based budgeting, which is essentially, we know that there are going to be certain costs that will not change from year to year. So we do not reduce those amounts out of the budget. We analyze them to ensure that they're accurate, but they're not eliminated out of the budget. Then there are those one-time costs that occur cyclically. And so those are not automatically rolled out. Those are eliminated from the budget amounts in developing the new budget, so that there may be new requests that may take their place. Other areas are at a zero-based budgeting where, for example, in special education tuition, we don't know what those enrollments are going to be. We essentially zero those out when we're projecting for the new year. We look at what our special education population is that is attending out-of-district schools, and we allow for the aging out of students who will not be with us in a subsequent year. So we start from a zero amount, and we budget up to what is necessary for the enrollment that we know will be attending those schools. So those are the essential basics on budgeting. We'll talk further in different areas as we proceed. But tonight we have 3 presentations. We have the first one in physical education and athletics. Then we'll be going over the academics. And then third is information technology. So without further delay, Chris Iannazzo, please. Chris Iannazzo, our supervisor of physical education and athletics, will discuss his budget.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
As Mr. Giuliano said, my name is Chris Iannazzo. I'm the supervisor of physical education and athletics. And to go through, perfect. Just to start, we'll start with the physical education portion. My budget actually supplements all of the schools' budgets. And what our program focus is on development of motor skills, and everything is different in each grade level. So we start with development of motor skills, their knowledge and behaviors for physical activity. And our main focus is to promote that lifelong fitness and wellness, wanting these students to go out and perform some physical activity outside of school to keep their health and wellness up. As we move on to athletics, we want to enrich the students' experience along with athletics. It's not just about the wins and the losses. We're trying to teach them more than that. It's those character traits that they're going to build and take for the rest of their lives from what they've learned, whether it's hard work, commitment, all of these things that all of our coaches are trying to promote through all of our athletes. As talked about, this full budget does support our regular and adaptive PE programs. It supplements all of the schools' budgets. So when the teachers come up with new innovative ideas and new activities that want to try, we discuss, we sit down, we see what some of those needs are, and we try to make those things happen for the students and for the teachers. As for the athletic budget, it's for our programs and all competitions. As you can see, it's officials' fees for when we have home events. Outside facility fees, we don't have a bowling alley or a swimming pool, so those are things that we have to send our athletes out to participate in. Participation fees as for tournaments that we participate in, the NJSIAA, which is our state governing body, and the GMC, Greater Middlesex Conference, that we are a part of. School physician, which makes sure that we follow all Department of Education rules for all of our student athletes with both concussion and their physicals. And then we'll talk about supplies and equipment, all of our student athlete and coach needs throughout the year to make sure that we run smoothly on a regular basis. Transportation, which you'll see in the next slide, is really our largest portion of the budget, and it's unfortunate, but it's supply and demand at this point. The entire state is feeling this, and costs keep going up. And then uniforms for our student athletes. We believe this is through our first full cycle here of our uniform budget, and it's been great. It's one of those look good, play good types of things, so I appreciate that support in that, and that's also part of this budget. So as you can see, as I just spoke, transportation is the largest portion of this budget, and it's really not anything that we can do about it, unfortunately. Our hands are tied, and we do have to send our athletes out to events. So we do the best that we can to try and put teams together and mostly go on Saturdays or later events, but we're stuck by time constraints and things like that. So this is the breakdown of what we have. So really it's the competitions, that's the biggest, transportation, officials' fees, and the rest is just really to run on a smooth basis. So just to talk about some requests that are coming through. Again, transportation increase, we're projecting them to go up. So we did put a request in for that. And there are some items that the state is putting forward that we do need for our athletic department. Those are immersion tubs for safety for our student athletes in hot months to make sure that we can cool them down quickly. And also a new body metrics for our wrestlers to make sure that we can certify them correctly. They're down at their lowest weight. That's another safety thing that we have as well. As we move forward, some other pending requests. I do have a department chair of physical education and athletics. I feel as if our physical education department and our teachers and students really could benefit from somebody who has a full set of eyes and can really focus on what they're doing each day. With the increasing childhood obesity and the lower activity levels with some of our students, I think this would be beneficial to help these teachers with their innovative ideas and really find ways to get these students really performing well. As we move forward, with the size of our district, and I've had this in the budget a couple times now this year, I believe right now we have 1.5 trainers. I'd like to see 2.5 trainers, 2 full-time and 1 part-time, to make sure that we can cover all of our student athletes. We have over 30 varsity sports and a huge gamut of underneath of sub-varsity levels. And sometimes our trainers have to make a decision because we are split between 2 schools. We have a full-timer at the high school and part-timer down at Churchill, just to make sure that she can get to all the athletes, to make sure that everybody is safe with everything that they're doing. And that's really goes through the physical education and athletic budget. Does anybody have questions?
You referenced cycle. So if you could just elaborate on that for a few minutes for those board members who may not be aware, or those members of the public who are watching, about our uniform and equipment replacement cycle.
Sure. So Mr. Giuliano and myself, Mr. Crotchfeld, we worked together on a 4-year cycle so that every team would get a new uniform every 4 years. So there's no more hand-me-downs, there's no more things like that. Everybody's going to see a fresh new uniform. And with our sports, we thought 4 years was a good cycle with the amount that we use them, that they should stay in good shape before we move on to that next. That way, it's fully district funded. We're not looking for parent funds or booster clubs or anything like that.
And if I may, one of the things that we took into consideration, because in the past, there was a lot of hand-me-down, that where a varsity team would get a new uniform, and then when a new uniform would come around again for that varsity team, that used uniform would move down to the lower levels.
Right.
And we're not doing that anymore.
Correct.
So the teams are all being treated equally in terms of uniform cycling.
And if you could just talk briefly about what you were telling us at the finance meeting about the reconditioning of equipment, and more important, the rigid certification it goes through for safety compliance.
Sure. So at the end, and the biggest one you'll see are football equipment, but we do take lacrosse and other items out. They check all of our equipment. We send that off-site, and they make sure they fit all safety standards, and they reject items that are no longer able to be used. That's part of our reconditioning budget, so that goes for anything out there that has a safety concern. We do have it looked at and make sure it's safe for any student athlete who's going to use it the next year.
Thank you. Libu?
Yes. So Chris, thank you very much. So you stated that more than half of the budget is spent on the transportation. So is this transportation provided by our own bus, or we contract out?
So unfortunately, we have to contract out because our buses are being used to take our students home from school. So we have to contract out now, and there's a huge crisis with the yellow school buses. They don't have drivers. So we've had to move to make sure that we don't have to cancel any events. We've been using coach buses, which cost more, but we're able to get our student athletes where they need to be.
Yeah. So I'd like to elaborate a little bit further. Chris, if you don't mind, can we go back one
Sure.
slide? Okay. So Chris is absolutely right. We're unable to meet the need of the athletics transportation with our own fleet because of the conflict in schedules. However, our own fleet does handle weekends. So we handle the weekend events that happen on Saturdays and Sundays. And during the week, we do handle, I'd say, roughly 2 or 3, if we can, routes, if that's possible. But the demand is such, and the athletic schedule is such, that variances, undoubtedly there are going to be changes that happen from day to day. Events get rescheduled, they may be canceled, they have to be moved to another date, and that has an impact on cost for any of the contractors, because they can't rely on a particular schedule if that's changing from time to time. I'll point out that with that transportation piece of the pie, which totals that transportation piece totals $232,000. That includes a 17.25% increase, or roughly $34,000 anticipated in cost increases that we'll see for next year. One of the things that we've been analyzing a lot of things in transportation to see what we might be able to do to mitigate some of these costs. And in fact, the Transportation Committee is meeting on Monday to have an initial discussion on some of these things. So we're not prepared to discuss any of that at this point, but it is something that we are attuned to and want to find some way to resolve at least some portion of it. I can tell you that in-district busing is not going to be a panacea. It's just not possible. But if there's some way that we can mitigate some of these costs, we'll certainly make those recommendations.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We greatly appreciate everything you and your staff do to support the kids with the phys ed program and the athletic program.
Thank you. We appreciate your support as well.
Thanks, Chris.
Nick, is that now?
Good evening. I'm happy to present the 2021 school year budget for the Department of Academics. So this proposed budget reflects the work of each content department, our arts education department, science department, social studies, mathematics, language arts, engineering, business, computers, and consumer education, world languages, and ESL. Starting on page 8, your budget packet is separated into 3 sections: the base budget, tentatively approved budget requests, and pending budget requests. This proposed budget was developed through requests from our teachers, department chairpersons, supervisors, for instructional materials and supplies to support daily teaching and learning in all of the classrooms in our district. This budget continues to support many wonderful experiences for all of our students, including our environmental science trip to Fairview for our 6th graders. As you will notice in this budget are many exciting new curricular updates, such as new elementary science kits. These new science kits for grades K, 1, 2, 3, and 5 are aligned with the next generation science standards and provide a refresh for our current units. I would also like to point out that our partnership with Columbia University's Teachers College Reading and Writing Project has provided us with the opportunity to inventory our classroom libraries, and this budget includes recommended books to supplement and refresh our classroom libraries in our K through 7 classrooms, ensuring we have a diverse collection of books that interest and engage our students. So, as you can see in this slide, a bulk of this budget is allocated toward bringing our science curriculum into alignment with current standards through the purchase of new elementary science kits. A significant amount of this budget is also allocated toward meeting the needs of our at-risk students through basic skills services, ESL programming, and our FLEX program. This budget also reflects the district's commitment to keeping our arts education and media center programs strong. In the back of your packet, in the pending budget requests section, starting on page 38, you will see 3 requests. The first one on page 39, this budget request reflects the increasing costs we have been experiencing for a number of years regarding our Fairview trip. Also, you will see a request for an additional math specialist on page 40 and 41. We have included this request pending budgetary constraints as well as elementary enrollment. And finally, please note that the requests for 2 math textbooks on page 42, we will not be moving forward with these requests in this budget cycle. I hope you will find that each written justification in your packet is both clear and thorough, but I would be happy to answer any additional questions you may have.
Anybody have any questions, Li Wu?
So Dr. Bollier, thank you. So you mentioned we have a cooperation with Columbia, which is good. I remember some time ago we approved a cooperation with Princeton. Do we still have that kind of program with teacher exchange? Or?
With the student teachers?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
We're
thank you.
accepting student teachers, right. So our partnership with Columbia is providing professional learning for our staff.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. We had, I had a lot of questions at the meeting about a lot of the online components of your curriculum, and I was concerned about duplication, and you gave such a terrific answer about the need and your belief in what we're doing that I wanted to encourage you to repeat it to everyone about, you know, your belief in what we're doing is so necessary in terms of all the online pieces that are in here.
So we've taken a very serious and committed approach to our response to intervention model in our primary grades, and some of these resources in this budget help us to diagnose and clearly identify any skill deficits that a child may have so that we can have targeted, timely intervention provided for that child to catch him or her up to grade level expectations. So we do appreciate the board's support for the purchase of some of these programs and tools.
And this intervention, you're talking at all levels?
All levels.
The other thing we had talked about was some ideas for kind of to use the rotation cycle for the athletic equipment and uniforms as a model for rotation of replacement of classroom libraries.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think, did any of that resonate, and do you think it's something realistically we could do that would help our efficiency in replacing them?
Absolutely. Definitely talking about that concept with our language arts supervisor, and it's on our agenda for the elementary principals meeting next week. It's a project we will definitely be undertaking in the next few months.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Again, what you and your staff accomplish with our students is just wonderful.
It's our
And
pleasure.
we greatly appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bolway.
Good evening, everyone. It's nice that I actually know everyone in the room. But for our handful of viewers at home, I'm Nick Petronica. I'm Chief Information Officer for East Brunswick Public Schools. And before I get into the actual budget, I just want to make sure that I stress how much I appreciate having such a supportive board and central office team who understand the importance of being able to maintain our infrastructure and things like computers that you actually need to keep technology going. It's with this support that we're able to explore, introduce new technologies, things that help us run more efficiently, help us in the long term, saving money with productivity and financials. So I've worked for the district for about 19 years, so I kind of have a good overview of what we do. I've been in this role for about 2 years, and once again, I'm very lucky to have a very supportive management staff who's also very forward-thinking, and hopefully you'll like what's in this budget this year. Before I go into the details of this year's budget, I did kind of want to highlight some of the things that last year's budget was able to provide for us this year. So this is kind of like the exciting stuff, and I'm a big geek. If I get a little too, raise your hand and I'll step back a little. This year was an exciting year. We were able to roll out our one-to-one initiative in our high school, along with Canvas, our learning management system. Overall, it was a pretty seamless process. We were able to manage about close to 3,000 devices in the cloud, pushing out applications, pushing out policies, being able to track where devices are. The kids were able to take the laptops, open them up, turn them on. It said, "Welcome to East Brunswick Schools," without my staff having to do anything. Next year, we're going to roll out to our Churchill students as well. And as a nice sustainability effort, when we're ordering these laptops next year, we're going to be getting them with reduced packaging. So instead of each laptop coming in a box with the power adapter in plastic, we'll be getting 20 laptops and power adapters in a single box. So that will help with our recycling efforts. This year, we've been able to complete our single sign-on effort for all of our major district-wide systems. What this does is it makes it very easy for our staff and students. They log into their device. When they go to different websites, Canvas, it kind of authenticates them, less passwords to remember. Also, from a security standpoint, it means that when someone leaves the district, we can disable their account and it cuts their access off for everything, so it helps improve our security. We've also begun to start to migrate our files. So files that traditionally would be on a server here in the server room, we're migrating things to be in the cloud. What that does, it's a lot easier to manage. We don't have to pay money for backups. We don't have to pay for the server space, which not only is a cost savings, but it also reduces the amount of money that we spend on heating and cooling costs to keep those server rooms cooled. If you've ever gone into one of those server rooms, it's freezing cold unless the equipment's not working, and then it's boiling hot. We have started to roll out PaperCut, which is kind of a print management system. It allows us to do things like you can scan your card, swipe some paper, it goes right to the cloud, so it'll go to your OneDrive. And with the one-to-one initiative, this is great because we can help promote teachers to make all the documents electronic, email them to the kids instead of printing things out. And then we've also started to embrace electronic signatures. So for things like the employee handbook, technology agreements, typically every agreement is going to be at least 2 pages. We processed about 4,000 agreements this year, so that's 8,000 pages right there, not counting the 30 pages that the employee handbook is. So we're trying to be efficient. We're trying to help with the sustainability efforts. Okay, now we'll get on to the fun stuff.
Wouldn't it be funny
Don't tell me
if
that the
IT
technology is not working. Oh my
guy
God.
can't make the projector work.
What I didn't tell him is I didn't put any slides after that.
That was just, to lighten things up.
You were stressed for a second, though. I could tell.
I'm never stressed, Victor.
Oh, yeah.
My Xanax prescription is refilled, I'm good. So overall, what we like to say about the IT budget is it advocates, manages, supports, and maintains technology related to infrastructure across all spectrums of the district. This is not a statement that I wrote. But what we like to say is it's leading edge, not bleeding edge. We want to be current, but we don't want to take risks with things that we don't know are proven or things that are going to work for us. We don't want to spend $100,000 on something that we don't have a very good idea is going to be successful for us. So when you look at the IT budget, it's broken down into 2 main categories. The first part is to purchase, support, and maintain equipment that has kind of a shelf life, a life cycle. These are things like our one-to-one devices, classroom computers, Chromebooks, wireless access points, display technology such as LCD projectors and flat panels like you see in front of us, as well as classroom peripherals. So everything said and done, at this point, we have close to 12,000 devices that we support, about 1,000 wireless access points in the district, which give us end-to-end wireless coverage in all 13 of our buildings. It also supports things that kind of support the entire district. So dedicated internet services are internet filtering and monitoring, network, telephone, and mass communication systems, system management, computer management, security systems. This includes both cybersecurity and also the efforts to keep our buildings secure and safe. And that's done mostly through our Microsoft agreement. Our student information system, which is Genesis, our student transportation management system, which is Versatrans, and then our finance and HR management system, which is a combination of Business Plus, ASOP, and AppleTrack. It also covers systems that are for more targeted areas, so instructional software such as Discovery Education, BrainPop, Learning Ally, Freckle, software that helps our students with college and career readiness, which is Naviance, our special ed software, which is IEP Direct. So these are all items you'll see in the budget. And then curriculum development and lesson planning, which is On Course, and then of course Canvas, which is new this year. our professional development software, which is Oasis, and something that's new for next year, EduClimber, which is a set of analytic tools that will help us further the success of our students. When you look at how the budget's broken down, you'll see that the largest category we have there, which is a little over $1 million, is for the first part of the budget that I talked about. So items that have a lifespan, network switches, servers, computers, laptops, things that we know are gonna not last more than 5, 6, 7 years. The next largest bucket is for our systems that support the district, support how we do business. So our technology, finance, HR systems, internet services, things like that. And then followed by that, the smaller categories are things that are solely for instructional purposes and things that are very specific like Versatrans, IEP Direct, and Naviance. When we go and look at how we spend our money, we do take a lot of time. We do our due diligence. We work very closely with Dr. Boley and Nicole Tibbetts on the curriculum side. We always meet with a lot of teachers. We like to get feedback on making sure the systems we're using are effective. If we have multiple systems that we think kind of do the same thing, we have focus groups. We kind of talk to the teachers to see what the pros and cons are. We want to make sure that we're spending our money right. If I had an extra $500,000 a year, I would find a way to spend it.
Forget it.
I'm not asking for it, but I'm saying I would find things that would help us be more efficient, would help us be innovative, things that would really make us shine. So we're always looking at ways that we can save money by combining services, finding better services, and we use that to help keep moving the district forward. The substantial budget request that I put in for this year is to kind of increase the budget that we have for our security servers. With the increase of all of the security cameras, the disk space and the processing power is not as great as what we've gotten in the past. But other than that, we're good to go with what we have.
So if I can, I'd like to elaborate on one aspect of this. So the largest piece of the pie there on the computers, infrastructure, and peripherals, which Nick mentioned is approximately $1 million. That's a revolving fund, so it took the district quite a number of years to build that, and approximately 1/3 of that goes toward infrastructure. So we're talking about servers and the like that support our technology. And then the other 2/3 of that fund is necessary for replacements. We do a lot of replacements, implementations with the one-to-one initiative that's funded there. The servers that Nick just mentioned that are necessary for the security systems, that will come out of that fund. So it is a necessary component in order to keep technology pretty much going at the pace that we need it to be. So I just wanted to make that comment.
That's very important. Those other little pieces of the pie would not work without that large piece of the pie.
Right.
Anybody?
Could I mention something real quick?
Sure,
Just wanted to mention that you see here the real true integration between the academics proposal and the informational technology proposal, because a lot of our technology is used in the academic setting. And I can't go without mentioning the academics team who helped in the support and the launch of Canvas, Oasis, who is our teacher evaluation tool, the professional development that goes behind the scenes to support, well, it's not really behind the scenes, it's very apparent, to support our teachers and all the people who use the technology. So I don't want the board to think that we're just investing in technology, we're investing in people too, because it really is a people business. We use technology to support that, and I don't want people to think that we're trying to move the district in a purely technological way, but the blend of really talented teachers, which we are thankful to have and grow, and some really great technology supported by a phenomenal team of experts that help make it all go.
Mark?
First of all, thank you. You do a lot. Kronos, can you give me a minute on Kronos, what we're using it for, and
So Kronos has been a little bit of a difficult implementation due to the nature of how Kronos has things organized and how we do things as a district. One of the strides that we made last year was Kronos developed a product specifically for K-12. So that's something that we changed to this past school year. And we've actually been making more progress, I think, in the past month than we've made in a while. Our project team has reconvened. We've started to compile a lot of the data that Kronos needs to get the implementation completed. We have a sandbox in place where we get to see the data, and we've started to get a small section of, for example, the superintendent's office is the first one that we started with to get people in the system so that we can actually see what the system's going to be able to do for us. And we're having meetings at least every 2 weeks, if not every week, with our internal team and with the Kronos team. So that is is definitely a huge priority. It's something that I think anyone in central office really wants to accomplish because the amount of time that we spend signing papers and double checking ASOP. So we definitely understand the importance of that. The amount of time that it's going to save us is going to be enormous, and it's not something that we're looking at lightly. It's something that I wish had gone a little faster, but it's important that we get some of our back-end processes right so that the implementation, by the time that it's done, is really done as opposed to, you know, a little piecemeal. And Mr. Giuliano probably can fill in some of my blanks.
I think you did just fine.
I've listened to his speech a couple times.
Thank you.
Susanna?
One question and one comment, and the comment is about sustainability and how sustainability is a broad topic, and you touched on one of them, and that is paper reduction. So I just wanted to, you know, I think, you know, really applaud the, you know, the work that everyone has done to really reduce paper by going electronic. And you mentioned how many, what is the
DocuSign?
the electronic signatures, how much
Paper.
that's
Yeah.
reducing. And I was thinking about how many cases of paper that would be when you said, like, how many, 8,000?
8,000.
Sheets, right?
You're talking about paper cut. You're going to have me geek out in a second because it's one of my favorite products that we're rolling out this year. So some of the other things that it does, it includes a piece on the PC. So if someone prints something out and they printed it out within like 3 hours, it reminds them, did you know you already printed this out? Do you need to print out a second copy? It forces them to do double-sided printing. You know, if they choose to print something in color, it says, are you sure you want to print this in color? Like, it kind of does things where we still give them the freedom, but it's kind of like that voice in the back of their head. And as we move towards one-to-one, there is not as much of a need to print, and we're really trying to enforce that with the teachers while we, you know, listen to them and make sure that their needs are being met and try to, you know, support paperless.
It's a culture change, and we did the similar thing where I work, and we went to this printing system. Everyone was complaining it was the worst thing in the world. We used to have boxes of paper lined up in the supply room. There's no paper.
Yeah.
So really, I applaud you for that. So sustainability is a much broader topic, and you know, we're doing a lot of work in that area.
And in addition to that, we're focusing on centralized printing, which instead of every classroom having a printer, which will save not only money, but plastic. You know, these printers don't last more than a few years, and the cartridges and the electricity that it uses to run them, and
a lot of benefits.
you know, the more technology you have in that classroom, the warmer the classroom gets, which increases your HVAC costs. And so it's something that we're really excited about in technology. Sorry.
So then the question part has to do with, I was one kind of nervous about when we went to one-on-one and what the impact would be of like kids losing their computers and that having, you know, extra hidden cost. And I think I asked the question at one of the last year's technology meetings, and I think I heard that really wasn't much of an issue, so I was wondering if you could update on that.
I don't think we've had anyone lose their device. I have to double check with Cliff. He's really has his finger on the pulse there. We've had, you know, more kids that have lost their stylus. We've, you know, even the total number of warranty claims hasn't really been, I think it's like 20-something, 40-something. It's been pretty low. You know, I think that students have, you know, a good sense of responsibility. It's their device. We've, Nicole has actually done a survey with the students, which you'll get the results of soon. And the response from the students has overwhelmingly been positive. They really love the devices. You know, they feel that it's really been a positive change in their culture. Yay, because I was like, if this doesn't go good.
So Nick, thank you. You know, I believe technology is the king. So can you summarize or for the budget, how much did you do to help our teacher, the staff, improve their efficiency, reduce the secretaries' working pile. So can you say something about that? So any software you are planning to have or you already have to reduce our secretaries' working load or improve the efficiency?
So I have to apologize because I'm not necessarily that familiar with the daily workflow of teacher and the secretarial staff in there. But a lot of the efforts that we're doing right now, that the teachers are getting laptops now. So in Churchill and the high school, they have them. The plan is eventually that, every instructional teacher will have a laptop. So by using things like Canvas and some of the other systems that we're putting in place, it definitely improves the teachers' efficiency. I'm not really sure how that rolls into the secretaries, unfortunately. One of the things that we are starting to do in an effort to directly help the secretarial staff, one of the big problems that they would complain about is parent access getting locked out, because the kids would use the parents' login to try to check their grades, try to get their schedules. So what we just rolled out for Hammersholt a few weeks ago, and we'll roll that out to Churchill and the high school in the next month or so, is we're actually creating accounts for the students themselves so that the parents don't give that account out and the parents, their accounts won't be locked out. And that is hopefully something that's going to save the secretary some time.
Maybe the kids locked out the parents on purpose.
Or, I'm not sure, but, this is something that we think is really going to be
I've
somewhat of a...
forgotten my code, so yes, I think that'll definitely help a lot.
Thank you very much.
I
I'm sorry.
just had a brief question, Nick. Thank you so much, and thank you and your staff also. Does a terrific job keeping us running with everything. You mentioned before security, and cybersecurity seems to be in the news every day, lack thereof. In terms of feeling comfortable and confident about the security measures we have taken to protect the data we have and the keeping hackers out, or I may not be using the correct terms. Could you just speak for a minute about your comfort level with what we're doing? If there's things you think we could do better?
Oh, you're going to get me excited again, Vicki. So one of the biggest changes that we've made for security over the past year is, if you look at what we're paying for our Microsoft agreement, that price kind of keeps inching up. But with that, we're taking advantage of really advanced, so email threat protection, overall virus threat protection. One of my favorite things that we've just done in the past few months is in changing over to the single sign-on authentication that I talked about. We also changed it so that as employees, students log into their accounts, and this is for everything, for the network, for email, for all of these other systems, it's authenticating in the Microsoft cloud, which means that we won't get hit by denial of service attacks, but it also gives us excellent alerting capabilities. So for example, if you were the result of a phishing attack, and that's where you get an email that looks like it's valid and you put your name and your password in, they now have your login information. We will get alerts from Microsoft if one account logs in from 2 different states in one day. We're able to put security things in place where we are able to block logins for certain applications from certain locations, or, we kind of as a general rule only allow authentications from a certain number of countries, which really reduces the number of hacking attempts. But then we get these alerts so that if a report is received from someone that, we're able to contact them and say, hey, were you in California this morning? No, your account was hacked. And just the tools that we get as far as this. And, if we find out that there was a phishing attack, we can actually see everyone that clicked on the link in that message, and we can be very proactive. And it's really gotten our virus and, it's really, I think, lowered all of our worry levels a lot.
So, and our student data is protected and...
Yes. So all of the services that we use for student data, we're relying on the experts to kind of secure that. We wouldn't be able to afford the staff to, maintain the cybersecurity with databases here. So all of our systems, and we do quality checks on our vendors. We kind of keep feelers out to see if anyone has been hacked, and what the results of that are. So I feel very confident with the safety and security of our student data.
One of the things that I am proud about is the fact that, this department took advantage of a report that was done now nearly 6 years ago and made substantial improvements, and those improvements continue. But cybersecurity is not static. People always try to figure out new ways to hack a system or get in or break in or come in through a back door somewhere. So the continuous investment by this board is really necessary to support the integrity of our data. And just like all of us, we have to upgrade our cell phones from time to time. That's essentially what we're doing. We're staying ahead with the upgrades, but a prudent and measured approach to do that, not one that isn't intelligently thought out.
Anyone else? Thank you so much.
Thank you all very much.
Great presentation. And Dr. Waleski, you made a very good point before about the relationship and interaction between academics and technology. It might be interesting, maybe, I don't know, the dog days of summer, the meetings where we have nothing else to talk about. But just to kind of give us a sense of the partnership, our staff with technology in the classroom, viewing it as a partner, as intrusion, their thoughts on what we could do better in terms of investing in technology for the classroom, for the staff directly, either for their professional development or to help them with their curriculum methodologies, just to get a sense of, from that, the troops on the ground point of view, so to speak.
So just some key dates I wanted to note. So we have the three upcoming board meetings. We'll have budget presentations at each. The governor will be making his budget address February 25th. So 2 days later, we will receive state aid information. That will mean a lot in terms of our development and knowing where we are with a bottom line. And then the following dates for tentative adoption, March 19th will be our tentative adoption date on the budget, so that's just over a month from now. And then the public hearing will be May 7th and final adoption May 14th.
Thank you so much, Bernie. Thank you for all your work and your staff and coordinating all of the budget manager reports. Okay, I think we have an agenda to get through. Can I please have a motion for items 1 to 3 on the Board of Education agenda?
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Lax. Seconded by the rat?
Second.
Second by Mr. Sismar. Okay. Is there any discussion? Will the secretary please call the roll?
Mrs. Chu?
Yes.
Mr. Sismar?
Yes.
Mrs. Guas?
Yes.
Mr. Hong?
Yes.
Mrs. Lax?
Yes.
Mrs. Reese?
Yes.
Mr. Simmons? Mr. Winston?
Yes.
And President Pecker.
Yes, motion carries. Can I please have a motion for items 1 and 2 on the curriculum and instruction agenda?
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Lax.
Second.
Second by Mr. Hung. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Can I please have a motion for items just 1 and 2 on the facility agenda?
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Lax.
Second.
Second by Mr. Sismar. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Can I please have a motion for item number 3 on the facility agenda?
So
Move, by Ms. Jeff, second by Mrs. Lax. Is there any discussion? I do. I have a few questions. So this involves the playground replacement at Lawrenceburg Elementary School. While safety is certainly always paramount concern, not just to me, but to everyone up here, and I would never, ever advocate children playing on anything or being around anything that's unsafe. I'm just wondering, because I wasn't at the Building and Grounds Committee when the discussion happened, if the discussion involved at all options, presenting prices for rehabilitating some of the existing structures and bringing them into compliance with safety levels as opposed to the cost, as opposed to replacing?
We did not discuss that. What we did discuss was that we had, as a district, about 7 years ago, undertaken a rehabilitation of the equipment to try to extend its life. That was a significant expenditure because 7 years ago or so, we were already looking at the replacement of the equipment. We have succeeded in extending the life, but over the last several years, we have literally had to, I'll use the word amputate, segments of
That's what
the
it feels
equipment
like.
off because it is becoming unsafe. The parts that have had to be removed were clearly unsafe. I've spoken with parents and with even administrators who are very familiar with the site and have brought their children to the site who also express concerns with the site not being what it used to be. I know that there is a lot of attachment to the playground. It was a great community effort. I remember when it was built. But unfortunately, this is a necessary step. It has exceeded its useful life, and for the safety of those that use the equipment, it's time to replace it.
And again, I am not debating anything when it comes to safety. All I, again, just wanted to know is if there had been given thought by the committee to reviewing if there are parts of the playground that can remain and it might be more cost-effective to repair and bring up to safety and compliance standards rather than replace. I just wanted to know if that was discussed.
It wasn't mostly because, and we did discuss the emotional component of it, the fact that this was such an important part of that community, but we also looked at the fact that for 24 years, over a period of 24 years, it doesn't make a lot of sense. And as Bernie said, we have been over the years trying to extend the life, but it did get to the point. So no, do we look at the actual numbers of what it would be to do what you're talking about? No, I apologize, we did not. We weighed the pros and cons about the fact that a 24-year-old system could be better updated and all the safety things that have come along in the last 24 years. It seemed like, I'm speaking on behalf of the committee, that anyone who wants to weigh in, that just seemed to be something that we took more into account. So I do apologize, and I do appreciate all the people like yourself 24 years ago that built this beautiful play
I
system.
don't think it was it really 24?
But at this point,
I'm not, there's nothing
No, I
to
know.
apologize about as board members. Not the only thing, the thing that always must be the most important is the safety of our children. That is.
it didn't seem like that was an option, doing what you
I,
want
that's
to
what
keep
I,
in there,
that's what I was,
unfortunately.
I wanted to know if that was an option to do, if it wouldn't cost the district anything, to do some kind of review to see if part of it could be preserved.
So many things have changed in terms of just even the surface that goes down and the types of play structures that we have now. I don't think it would be cost. I mean, Bernie can tell you more, but I don't think it would be cost effective.
And I certainly do not want to belabor the point if there is not any kind of a consensus to continue the discussion. So is there anyone else who wishes to speak on this issue?
I mean, the way it was presented to us was it was a safety issue. I mean, I understand, if you build it with your own hands, that's the whole community, that's a beautiful thing. I just, the way it was presented to us was that it had reached its life of safety and effectiveness, and that the wood was deteriorating. So, I mean, my kids have been on that. It's beautiful. I mean, there's nothing like it in the whole district. It is gorgeous. And if if the administration feels there's a way to save it, that's safe, but that was not how it was presented to us.
And there is, the reality is pieces have been taken off, over periods of time. and it is getting to the point that we had to address it aggressively because it would become an issue.
I understand, I mean, having, you know, you see the love that was put into that, to that structure. I mean, like I said, my own kids loved it and played on it. We used to go across town just to play that lot, so that area.
And again, I certainly appreciate the concern over the age of the structure, but sometimes there's a beauty in age.
Absolutely.
And a value in a community coming together and creating something for the benefit of the children that sometimes doesn't have to be abandoned. Maybe it just needs a lot of, again, revision, bringing up to compliance and safety measures. So I'm going to ask all those in favor of supporting this motion to replace the playground?
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. I mean, nay.
Noted.
Abstain? Motion carries. Okay, the financial services item. Can I please have a motion for items 1 through 7?
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Lax. Second by Mark. Is there any discussion? This is a roll call vote. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Mrs. Chu?
Yes.
Mr. Sismar?
Yes.
Mrs. Guas is absent. Mr. Hong?
Yes.
Mrs. Lax?
Yes.
Mrs. Reese?
Yes.
Mr. Simmons? Mr. Winston? President Becker?
Yes, motion carries. I would like to hold the Human Resources agenda and including the addendum that's on the table in front of you tonight until after our closed session. So we will move on to the next portion of our agenda, which is staff development. There's one item. Can I please have a motion for
So
that
moved.
item? Moved by Mrs. Lax. Second by Mr. Sismar. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Student services. I'd like a motion to combine items 1 through 5.
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Lax, second by Mr. Sismar. Is there any discussion? This is a roll call vote. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Mrs. Chu?
Yes.
Mr. Sismar?
Yes.
Mrs. Guas is absent. Mr. Hong?
Yes.
Mrs. Lax?
Yes.
Mrs. Reese?
Yes.
Mr. Simmons? Mr. Winston? President Becker?
Yes, motion carries. This brings us to our committee reports, information items, and for the good of the cause. And we would like to start out with our student rep.
Could I mention that your student rep had a birthday yesterday?
18?
I found out she's actually 30. No, kidding. But she did at the Honor Society induction last night.
Wow.
Thanks.
What a nice way to celebrate your birthday. And you're president of the,
Yeah. It was fun. So there's been a lot going on at the high school lately, all good things. So today, the Institute of Political and Legal Education, their AP class won the state championships, which is a huge deal, and they all worked really hard on it, so now they're going to nationals, which is very exciting. We also had a wellness fair at the high school just around on the last day of midterms, just like so students could de-stress and learn about taking care of their mental health, their physical health, and we got a bunch of free stuff from like gyms and like businesses across East Brunswick that'll help us be healthier individuals, so we love that. We also have our drama show that's coming up in March. So Drama Club is preparing and working really hard every day. They're making the sets, rehearsing to make sure we have a great show. So come out and support. It's Guys and Dolls. We also had the All-District Choir Festival, so that was really fun, especially because I'm in choir, and it's my last year, and I really clearly remember being in like 3rd or 4th grade and going to it and watching all these high schoolers do this great show and dreaming of being up there, and now I am, and like now it's over.
So it's very sentimental, but it's definitely like a great opportunity for the students, especially the younger students who get really inspired by all of that. We also had NHS induction last night, so that was really successful. We inducted like 146 new members, I think. And yeah, I think it's a great legacy to carry on. And one of the things about NHS induction that sets it apart from other honor societies is we have like grandparents and parents who come out to support because they were inducted into NHS, because it's nationally recognized and it's been around for so long. So those students did a great job. And then we also have been working a lot on recycling at the high school, and we have new water bottle filling stations, and we're trying to push that idea of trying to save the environment at Hammersholt, Churchill, and the high school, because we should all be doing our part. So yeah.
Thank you. I see we have
Can we comment on?
three. Oh, sure.
Can I comment on that?
Absolutely.
Just food for thought. Rach, I love your presentations. Can we give some thought as a board to moving her after the superintendent's report for every meeting? I know we've done that occasionally,
Sporadically.
but, you know, I just wanted to put it out there publicly that, you know, I don't want to rewrite the things, but I just think that the public that's here and stuff, her energy at the beginning of the meeting would be better.
We could absolutely be consistent with that, Mark.
Change the
Thank
bylaw.
you.
Change the bylaw? We could change the bylaw.
If it's the board's pleasure, we can draft a revision to the bylaw.
Yep, we could do that. Okay, thank you, Mark.
No,
Thank you
thank
for
you.
recognizing the contribution of our student rep. However, we do have 3 committees that are going to give reports tonight. Mrs. Lax.
I had no idea. I looked at that, I'm like, oh, I've never seen it written like that, but I guess I'm giving a report.
The minutes are in our packet, I believe.
They are. Well, it's funny because I was actually gonna say something based on our discussion, but I did not realize that it's so formal, so I apologize because I am not prepared. But, I did want to mention, yes, Building and Grounds did meet on the 27th, and this came up, and it's always very difficult when you're trying to weigh things like the sentimentality and the community's response to something with keeping current and the safety. So I do promise you, for Vicki and the members of the Lawrenceburg community, both the current ones and the past ones, it was discussed, and every time this has come up, it's been something that, as a committee, we've always been very cognizant of the fact that there is such an emotional attachment. So we've always hesitated and tried our best over the years to make sure that we were keeping it until it got to the point where the pros or the cons outweighed the pros. So, again, and I think Barbara said it beautifully, like most of our kids, if not all, have played on this playground, whether you went to Lawrenceburg or not. And it is always tough when you have to see something that you love change and update, and I want a dinosaur, so I appreciate not changing in certain areas, but it was discussed. The other thing that we did do, because we are always looking at the age of our facilities, what we can do with our limited budget to try and make sure that our kids are in the safest, most updated buildings, is we've been trying to now go around and see some of the facilities and some of the improvements that we've been able to put into the budgets. So we were able to see Chittick, and it was an amazing transformation. So some of you have, through the years, gone to Chittick just because we've been on board tours or community events. I strongly encourage you to take a look at that beautiful multi-purpose cafeteria room, what they've done, you know, Dr. Valesky, Bernie, wow, I have to say, for one of our older buildings that really needed to have some love, it was there. So that was nice, and our committee does intend to go through the district and to visit all the different schools, talk to the principals, see what we can do, what's within reach, and you know what's on our kind of forward thinking. But that was a really nice surprise for the committee. So, and that is my report.
So for Finance Committee, I think that's a pretty easy report because I think we all have the opportunity to hear the full budget presentations. But The finance committees are a great opportunity, though, where in a smaller setting, we can get into some more detail, line item by line item, and, you know, just really see the time and the care with which staff takes into putting into those budgets. So, you know, and just being prepared to answer all the various questions we'll throw out during both the finance committee meetings as well as, you know, at the budget presentation. So thank you for all the time and preparation that goes into that. And that's my finance report. You'll see more every week for the next few weeks.
Are there any other committee reports?
Not a committee report, something I attended, So I wanted to thank this district, and also I'm reading from here just so I don't forget anybody. East Brunswick Municipal Alliance for the Prevention of Drug and Alcohol Abuse. It was a parent university, and it was over at the high school. It was about angst. It was Dr. Alan Wegg. He's a psychologist for Stress and Anxiety Services of New Jersey, and it was about responding to anxiety in school-age children, a primer for parents. You know, giving tools for parents to, you know, we talk about mental health. It's definitely a big issue for kids across the country, and with the increasing pressures of school and their social lives and family issues, looking at the whole child. This was to give tools to the parents about how to help their kids. And there was a movie called Angst, which I would highly recommend, and it opened my eyes to a lot of different things. The stress kids even face at younger ages, and different things that we don't know about their home life, the things that are going on that the backpack that they're bringing, the stuff that's in their backpack that we don't even see. So thank you so much for the school district for having this.
I also wanted to mention something I attended along with Susanna and Li Wu, the Lunar New Year celebration at the Mid-Jersey Chinese School on February 1st. It was absolutely lovely. We were treated to some terrific performances, including a yo-yo demonstration, but they're not like little yo-yos. They're bigger than this rat yo-yos on these strings, and what the kids were able to do with them was just incredible. The food was delicious, and we were just treated so well, so nicely, and just want to thank them for hosting us. I also seriously want to thank Dr. Valesky for the mugs. It really does mean a lot. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Well, we do have a need for closed session. So can I please have a motion? The board must discuss matters which are not appropriate for discussion in a public meeting. These items are as follows. Those items that are listed in tonight's agenda. The length of the closed session is estimated to be 60 minutes, after which a public meeting of the board shall reconvene and action will be taken. Can I please have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Lack, second by Mr. Mark. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. We're in closed. Thank you. Good night.